Hey guys, so I don't know about you, but it has been really cold here today. It was like 60 something yesterday, and then today it's snowing. So I don't understand it. But anyways, it's really cold. So I'm in the mood for baking, and I'm also in the mood for not doing homework. So put the two of those together. There's a recipe that I've made twice now. It's orange cardamom morning buns, and they are delicious, so tasty, so easy to make, like so simple. But today I thought I would put my own little spin on those. So I'll put the original recipe, I'll put that in as a link down in the description. Definitely go and try those because they're so good. But I'm gonna try and put my own little spin on them. So I'm gonna make them a little bit more lemony rather than orange, and also cinnamon instead of the cardamom. So I guess they'll be a little bit more cinnamon roll-like. But anyways, let's go do some baking. The best thing about this recipe is that the dough that it's made from is super easy and super basic. Like there's not any special flavors or anything like that in the dough. And so you can really play around with what flavors you add into the filling, into the glaze, all that kind of stuff. And you can get a lot of different things out of the same dough. And this dough is so nice and wonderful. And dough normally doesn't like me, like pie crust. Not my favorite thing to make because it never turns out well. But this dough is just lovely, and it actually works when I make it, and that is always a plus. So the other two times that I have made this recipe, I've just stuck to the original recipe, and so today is my first time to kind of play around with it, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. All right, so we'll start out with the dough. To my mixing bowl, I'm gonna add 2 3/4 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 packet or 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast, and a teaspoon of fine sea salt. And then I'll just whisk those together. Moving over to the stove, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This is plant butter, non-dairy, and then 1 cup of almond milk to this saucepan. And then I'm gonna heat that up until it's about 100 degrees, just warm to the touch. All right, while that's heating up, I have this separate bowl over here, and I'm just gonna crack 1 egg into it. And then I'm just gonna mix the egg up a little bit. So it looks like my milk here is a little bit over 100 degrees, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep heating it up because I do want all of that butter to melt. And then I'll just let it cool for a minute or so before I go on to the next step. All right, now for the fun part. I have my beaten egg here, and I'm just gonna very, very slowly pour my milk mixture into the egg. And I'm gonna whisk the whole time. It's super important to do this very slowly because if you add too much heat into the egg, it could potentially give you scrambled eggs, which is not really what you're going for here. Now I'm just going to add my wet mixture into my dry. I will move my camera so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Whenever it gets to this point where it's kind of a shaggy dough, I like to just use my hands to mix it. I find that's easier than trying to use a wooden spoon. So we have a nice dough here, but as you can see, it is still very, very sticky. So I'm gonna add some more flour in about a tablespoon at a time, just until it loses some of that super stickiness. All right, as you can see, it is not sticking nearly as badly, so it's time to knead. Just lightly flour the surface, and then I'm gonna knead it for about 5 or 6 minutes until it is nice and smooth. All right, so you can see it's still a little bit sticky, but everything is all mixed in, it's all nice and smooth, and it's not so sticky that I can't work with it. So I think that's good. So now it's time to let the dough rise. So I've got just a metal bowl here that I've sprayed with some olive oil spray. I'm just gonna set my dough into the bowl. So it is super cold outside, like I mentioned earlier, and so I don't think my dough would be able to rise properly inside if I just left it out at room temperature. So my fix for that is I have this pan in my oven. It is half full of boiling water. And then I have my dough here in this bowl, oven-proof, oven-safe bowl, very, very important. And then I'm just gonna cover this with a towel. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. Like so. And then I'm just gonna set this on the rack above my boiling water, just like that. And then I'm gonna leave that with the door closed. I'm not gonna turn the oven on or anything, but just having that boiling water in there, the steam and the heat from that will then help my dough to rise. So I'm gonna leave it in there for about 40 minutes until it's doubled in size. There is still about 10 minutes left on the rise time of my dough, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the filling. So I've got the zest of 1 lemon. It's about a tablespoon of lemon zest, and then I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of sugar. And then I'm gonna mix this together with my hands and kind of squish the lemon zest around. It's kind of weird sounding and feeling, but it does help to release some of the oils in the lemon zest, which is really just gonna amplify the flavor. And then I'm gonna add 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then I'll just mix all of that together. And there is my finished filling. Here is my dough after it's risen. Clearly it's grown in size, and it is time to roll this dough out. So again, I'm just gonna lightly flour my surface, dump the dough out, and I'm gonna roll this out to about an 18 by 12 inch rectangle. All right, now I need a couple more things. So first off, I have 3 tablespoons of melted butter. This is again plant-based butter. And then also my filling that I made earlier. I'm just gonna drizzle some of this melted butter over my dough. I don't wanna use quite all of it. And then I'll just spread that around, and I'm gonna leave about an inch border around all of the edges. Now the next part is a little bit tricky, so I'm gonna do my best to explain it well. Basically, I'm gonna mentally divide my dough into thirds here. So there's about 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. I like to make little marks in the dough just to give myself some guidelines. And then in the center third, I'm gonna sprinkle half of my filling. Why am I doing this with a fork? I don't really know. I'm gonna fold one of these outer thirds over the middle, kind of like folding up a letter, and then I'll press the edges to seal. I'll spread my remaining butter on top of that newly folded third. I'm just gonna sprinkle the rest of my filling on top. Okay, now I'm gonna fold this last third over the middle and then press to seal that one as well. All right, now I need to reflour my surface, so I'm going to very gently move my dough out of the way. And then when I move it back, I'm gonna put the side with the seam on it facing down. So just kind of flip it over. And now I'm gonna roll this out one more time until it is 14 by 8 inches. All right, now I'm gonna cut about a 1 inch section off of each of the ends. These are gonna be the sections without very much filling in them, so you can go ahead and bake them because they'll still have flavor from the glaze that we'll add later, or you can just discard them, either way. Now this remaining portion I'm going to cut into 12 pieces. I usually start by just cutting it in half, roughly, and then cutting it into quarters. And then I'll cut each of these quarters into 3. Now for my very favorite part of this whole process, it's time to twist these. You can see all the layers in there. There's 2 layers of filling and then the 3 layers of dough. And what I'm going to do is take this one piece, I kind of stretch it out a little bit and twist it. So just kind of twist it from both ends, about like that. And then you just wrap it around and just kind of tie it in a knot, like so. So it kind of looks like a little pretzel, sort of. And then I'm just gonna set all of these aside on my cookie sheet over here. Again, I'll stretch it and then twist it. And then tie it in a knot. And some of the filling did reach these outside pieces that I cut off, so I'm gonna go ahead and twist these up. How cute are these? These morning buns are so pretty, but they're so simple to make. Like, all you do is twist it and tie it in a knot. Anyways, it's time to let these rise again. So I'm just doing the same setup as earlier. I put some fresh boiling water into the oven. I'm gonna add these. So anyways, I've got the same setup in the oven. I've got some fresh boiling water, and then I'm gonna cover these with a towel again. Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna cover them with 2 towels because one is not big enough. All right, and then I'll put these into the oven to rise for another 25 to 30 minutes. I want these morning buns to be nice and golden brown when they finish baking. So in order to help that process along, I'm just making a simple egg wash to go on top. So I'm just adding 1 egg into 1 tablespoon of almond milk and then mixing that together. I just pulled my morning buns out of the oven after rising, and obviously I'm not gonna bake them all on one sheet like I had them when they were rising. So I've split them between 2 cookie sheets, and I've preheated my oven to 375. And now I'm just gonna spoon some of this egg wash that I made earlier on top of each. Okay, now I'm gonna bake these for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna rotate the pans top to bottom and front to back and bake for another 7 or 8 minutes, just until they're nice and golden brown. Look how pretty these look. I've just been waiting here in the kitchen while these have been baking, and they smell so good. So I've been smelling them for like 20 minutes now. It's time to make a glaze. For the glaze, I have 1 cup of powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon of almond milk, and the juice of 1 lemon. Mix those together. And I'm just gonna drizzle my glaze on top of each of my morning buns. And these are finished. I am so excited to eat these. But before I eat one, I promised Lorraine, since I'm using her tripod yet again, I promised her that she can try one too. So I need to go and grab her. Would you like to try some morning buns?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not morning yet.
They're afternoon buns.
Okay.
You want some afternoon buns?
Yeah. Are you recording right now?
Yeah. Okay, here it is.
Here it
Yay,
is.
you didn't have to show yours. So Lorraine is here and we're gonna try them. She's already told me beforehand that she's just gonna say they taste awful and they're disgusting and the worst thing she's ever eaten. So if that's her response.
What if they're actually bad though? And then
you guys have to judge by my reaction. Okay. Because if I act like it's really bad, then it's really bad. But if she acts like it's really bad and I act like it's really good, it's really good. And cheers.
Cheers.
Clink. Yay.
Well, it's actually really good. Yes, I approve.
And they're not super sweet, which I like. But then you have the glaze on top, which
Yeah,
has a little bit more sweetness.
You're done with yours?
Yeah, I am. I don't waste time.
In that case, I don't care.
Just go for it.
So good.
Sorry, what?
Okay guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment and everything, and turn the little bell on. And then
I used that one before. I
yes, and now you get to do that. And then yeah, just watch our next video. And have a good week.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
And yeah,
make these. Make them.
They're really good.
They're very tasty.
Approve.
All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Yes, I got it.